Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of the DAN Show, and welcome to my latest 2021 NFL preview video. Today, I'm going to break down the Seattle Seahawks, but before I get into the video, if this is your first time here, I just got to ask you a simple question. Do you like football? Because if so, you're in the right place. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, ring the bell. That way you can get notified every time I come out with a new video. Now, if you've been here before, you already know the drill. You give me a thumbs up and you drop a comment below. Here's how this video works. I'm going to give you 3 things I like about the Seahawks, followed up by 3 things I don't like, but stick around to the very end where I break down the Vegas over-under and if I am going to put action down on the Seattle Seahawks. So let's get started with the first thing I like about the Seattle Seahawks. This is easy. It's Russell Wilson entering his 10th season. I firmly think that he played his best football last year. And here's the thing. He's had 160 consecutive starts. Over the last 10 years, he's only had one season he didn't hit double digit in wins, and he had 9 wins that season, so he's never had a losing season as a starter. He's never missed a start. I firmly believe that if Russell Wilson retires today, he enters the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Him and Kyler Murray enter the season as my 1-2 favorite to win NFL MVP. I think Wilson's that good. I'm not going to go on and on about him, but it does go hand in hand with the second thing I like about Seattle Seahawks, and that's the 1-2 punch at wide receiver. Now, Metcalf is the bigger name and the guy that makes the highlight reel most often, but in my opinion, Lockett actually played better last year, and the reason why is that both had about the same amount of targets. Lockett had 3 more. Lockett had 132 targets versus Metcalf's 129, but Lockett had 17 more catches. Lockett had 100 receptions versus Metcalf's 83, but both had 10 touchdowns. Now, Metcalf did have about 250 more yards receiving, and if you tell me Metcalf's the better receiver last year, I 100% understand. He went to a Pro Bowl, Lockett didn't, but here's the thing. On third down, Russell Wilson targets Lockett. He runs better routes. He has better hands. In my opinion, he was like this much the better receiver, but what isn't really debatable is that these two complement each other perfectly. Lockett has the better hands. He runs the better routes. Metcalf is bigger, stronger, faster, an absolute physical freak of nature, and a threat to score almost every single play. Going into 2021, I take these 2 wide receivers over any other pair of wide receivers in the National Football League. The third thing I like about the Seattle Seahawks is the free agent signings they had during the offseason. Now, they didn't get really big names, but they got players who are really going to help. Now, first off, they get a new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, who was with Sean McVay over the last 5 seasons. The last 4 was in Los Angeles. The first one was in Washington. And it's really a smart move stealing a key assistant coach from a rival, especially making him your new offensive coordinator. And along with Waldron, you get the Rams tight end, Gerald Everett. And last year, Seattle had 4 tight ends combined for 75 catches, barely over 700 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And so Everett, not a huge name, but he's going to help quite a bit in a position that the Seahawks really need some help in. You get Gabe Jackson from the Raiders. He's slated to be the starter at right guard. Al Woods, who's been in Seattle before, will help on rundowns, and Kerry Hayter from San Francisco brings his 8.5 sacks last year. These 2 are going to combine to replace Jared Reed, who left in free agent for Kansas City. So you have 1 player leave, 2 coming in. One's going to help on rundowns. One's going to help on passing downs. It's actually saving you money and provides more bodies on that defensive line, which you're going to need. So it's really a big plus. Akilo Witherspoon, another 49er to help in the secondary. And this is kind of cool from per our lads. Witherspoon and Hyder actually slated to start. So you get a key assistant and a tight end from the Rams and 2 potential starters from the 49ers, another divisional rival, that are going to start on your defense potentially. Again, these aren't really big names, but they're really small improvements. And don't forget, this team won 12 games last year. So just to recap the three things I like about Seattle, I like Russell Wilson, the 1-2 punch at wide receiver, and I really like the free agent pickups, not big names, but improvements to a really good football team already. Now, three things I don't like about the Seattle Seahawks. The first thing I don't like about the Seattle Seahawks is a new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. Now, yes, I love that they poached a key assistant from the Rams. I think that's a great idea, but this is a first-time offensive coordinator who's going to bring in a new offensive system. Brian Schottenheimer, on the other hand, is a very experienced offensive coordinator who's always had a run-heavy offense, which seemed to mesh really great with Pete Carroll. And Russell Wilson had arguably his three best seasons under Schottenheimer. I mean, look, last year this team was racked with injuries at the running back position, and they were still a top 10 scoring offense. Matter of fact, all 3 years under Schottenheimer, they were a top 10 scoring offense. So you're replacing him with somebody who's never been an offensive coordinator before. It's a good move that you poach somebody from the Rams. Yes, that's a good move. It's a question mark that you're replacing an experienced offensive coordinator, top 10 in scoring, all 3 years as offensive coordinator, with a guy who's never been a coordinator before. Second thing I don't like about the Seahawks is the corner position. Now, the Seahawks have new corners, and it's not really a terrible thing, but except for Jamal Adams, this secondary is a far cry from the Legion of Boom secondary that we saw win a Super Bowl, one of the greatest secondaries of all time. Adams is primarily a box safety, so to get where you want to go, if you're the Seattle Seahawks, you're probably going to have to face in the playoffs either Green Bay or Tampa Bay. So you have a combination of a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Pro Bowl wide receiver, possible Hall of Fame wide receiver with Adams and Evans. It's too early to tell if they're Hall of Fame caliber, but it looks like they could be. Are these corners up to that challenge? Now, keep in mind, this is a team trying to improve from a 12-4 record. So I wouldn't have this questions about all teams, but when you're a 12-4 team trying to get better, are these corners the guys that are going to be able to get it done? Because I really feel like the corners that they have at best are just slightly above average. And the third thing I don't like about the Seattle Seahawks is the running back situation. The Seahawks did resign Chris Carson, and I do like Chris Carson, but last year he was really banged up and wasn't really the same guy. Now, if he returns back to his 2019 form and he's healthy for, I'd say, about 14 plus games, you're in good shape. Now, I had a massive man draft crush on Rashad Penny, but he was injured and barely played last year. Since he's been with the Seahawks, he was their first round draft pick in 2018. He hasn't hardly played at all. Now, if he can live up to being that first round running back, you're in great shape. Now, here's the drill. You have a running back core with a new offensive coordinator. If nothing else, you have to question the health of the group. How are these guys going to respond to new offensive coordinators? Another question. Now, here's the deal. You got a quarterback who's an MVP candidate. He was your second leading rusher last year. You don't want him taking unnecessary hits. So the question of running back situation is key, because if Carson and Penny can't stay healthy again, you really have to question why you didn't address this in free agency, especially when you have the quarterback and the receivers all lined up on offense. So just to recap the three things I don't like about the Seattle Seahawks, I don't like the new unproven offensive coordinator. Hopefully it works. The corners and the running back situation. Now, this is the advanced part of the class. This is the money-making part of the class. This is where I reveal the Vegas over-under, and I let you know if I am going to put down action on the Seattle Seahawks. The over-under for the Seattle Seahawks is 9.5, and as you can see here, over 9.5 is negative 150, while under 9.5 is plus 130. So what this means is that if you like over 9.5 wins here, you have to wager $150 to win 100. But if you like under 9.5, a $100 wager will win you 130. Now, Being that the number is negative 150, you'll probably see this at 10 at a lot of places, and you probably can get 10 at a lot of places. And while I do like the Seahawks to win over 9.5 games, I hate the number negative 150. So I am going to shop around, see if I can get 10 somewhere. But yes, I do like the Seahawks to win over 9.5 games. Now, to make the playoffs, yes is negative 125 and no is plus 105. I like Seattle to make the playoffs. I'm not a fan of negative 125, but if I have to take negative 150 to get over 9.5, I almost like taking negative 125 to simply make the playoffs even better. And then finally, to win the divisions plus 260, and the Seattle Seahawks are my favorite to win the division. Last year, I won on Seattle over 9, and I got plus 210 last year to win the division, and I put action down on it, and I collected. So I am going to put action down on the Seattle Seahawks, but I'm going to shop around, and I'm going to see if I can get over 10, because I could probably get over 10 at close to even money. I may be able to get a positive number somewhere, but I don't like 9.5 at negative 150 at all. However, using the numbers that are available, I don't like to do this, but more than likely what I'm going to do is probably with these numbers, if I had to bet these numbers, I'm probably splitting my bankroll 40, 40, 20. And that's 40% on over 9.5 wins, 40% to make the playoffs, and 20% on winning the division. And yes, it's a huge number to bet, 20% of your bankroll, or the bankroll that you have for the Seahawks, allocated just for the Seahawks. To take 1/5 of that just on them to win the division, yes, it's a big number, but you can take chances here. Listen, the last 10 seasons, the Seattle Seahawks 9 out of 10 times have had double-digit wins. The one time, they went 9-7. I do have some questions if Seattle can advance in the playoffs, but to win 10 games, I feel absolutely great about, and I am going to bet on it. Now, here's the drill. If you haven't already, give me that thumbs up. And most important, these videos are just conversation starter. I offer my opinion. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think the Seattle Seahawks are going to do in the 2021 NFL season. Now, tomorrow, I am breaking down the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I will see you tomorrow.